So there's a theory going around for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet about Sada and Toro's discovery. They mention a 6-letter Pokemon here, and then in the DLC announcement we learned of this Pokemon called Terrapagus, but the name doesn't fit here. I did some research about this Pokemon name and I found out that if you open the game in different languages, the letters shown here are different. It's 6 letters in English, Italian, Spanish, 3 letters in Japanese, Korean, and Chinese, and then 5 letters in French and German. I was under the impression for a while that maybe this means that what they found isn't Terrapagus. They found a different creature, and the Terrapagus is maybe this little baby, because Sada, Turo, and Heath also mention hexagons, which Terrapagus here has pentagons, and Terrapagus also has this on its back versus the crown that's shown in Heath's drawing. So maybe the creature Sada and Turo actually found and made the Terra Orb based off is a different form of Terrapagus or a different turtle itself. We look at the map of Paldea. The entire region, despite Spain looking like this, they made it look specifically like this, which looks like a turtle. I thought if there is a turtle behind this region, that's one creature and that Terrapagus is a different one. Since then, I've been talking to a couple of you guys and you guys threw a wrench in my whole idea, which is that you can find these smudged boxes somewhere else in the game, which is in Heath's book. Flip to the end of Heath's book and when he's describing the disc Pokemon, some of the boxes that censor here are for multiple letters, like strange. That's 2 letters that's being censored. So this threw a whole wrench, because that means technically, even though Sada and Toro refer to it as a 6-letter name, that anything can go. Terrapagus can fit if some of them take up 2 slots. Well, this does kind of end speculation for that, because once the boxes mean anything, we can't go further. It does bring back one cool idea. So one name that fit in these 6 letters was Paldea. You know, like Sada and Toro refer to the region as a living creature because they found out the truth that it's a turtle, and so they're referring to Paldea shell, as in the turtle that's underneath. The original problem with this actually being Paldea is that in Japanese, it's 3 letters long and Paldea is a 4-letter long word in Japanese. But anything goes, right? So, if it's 4 letters, we can squish it into 3. Maybe it is Paldea. Maybe you're not gonna really fight the big turtle in the DLC, but somewhere you're gonna hear that the name Sada and Toro referred to whatever they found is Paldea. You guys are smart for correcting me on that. Now let's move on to some of your guys' theories. I haven't read these in a bit, so let's see what you guys have to say. Alright, here we got John 2D. So their theory starts off talking about how every 3rd legendary ends up having another form. Mega Rayquaza, Origin Giratina, Black and White Kyurem. If you remember the 4chan leak, something about terrestrial forms was talked about, which would essentially be G-Maxes when terrestrializing. And if you look at some of Ku's recent tweets, you gotta tell what Ku is saying here. He's saying forget about the 4chan post itself, but he does say, unlike Megas, which are only exclusive to certain Pokemon, that something about terrestrializing has features everyone can access and then features only some can access, which is essentially what the terrestrial forms would be. It looks like it's near confirmed. So they go on to say that maybe for Terrapagus, they're gonna get a terrestrial form. He then compares Paldea looking like a turtle to Calyrex, which one day was worshipped by everyone and was at the peak of its power, and maybe just like Calyrex was slowly forgotten and so it lost all of its power, maybe Paldea the turtle lost the power of the people and shrunk into the small form, and the vision that Heath saw was the turtle trying to remind Heath. He says that maybe Heath's drawing is Terrapagus attempting to regain its former powerful self. Hey, Terrapagus, I got hope, man. Do not become a villain. Alright, next up we got Light88. So, remember when you're with Sada and Toro in the elevator and they're telling you all this stuff? Apparently, the way Area Zero works is someone put a barrier over the whole crater so that the Pokemon can't escape. And this is how the Scream Tails have been flowing out. Something kept them in. At present, there's a barrier around Area Zero. Eventually, they'll break free of this walled garden. We've begun to see Pokemon appear that can break the barrier, such as Iron Treads. And now, freaking good job, Iron Treads. Of all the Pokemon that could break free, one idea for this barrier could be those weird satellites you see, which you can't access when you first go down, but when you come back with your rideable Pokemon, there's nothing to them. You can go right up to them. We know some bits of lore about Area Zero. 87 years ago, people tried to research here. They set up these research stations. Maybe they put the barrier originally. Or did they? Maybe Sada and Toro did. What did the people who tried to come here 87 years ago accomplish? Cause some of the buildings, like these hexagon-shaped Pokemart-looking houses, they put them there. Also, if you go through the little elevator that brings you down to Area 0, there's all this equipment that seems to also be from 87 years ago. I remember going around and each of the boxes are marked like 1 to 8. You can go right to take the elevator, but if you go left, it's actually blocked off. I'm certain we're gonna figure out a lot more in the DLCs. But yeah, back to his tweet. He mentions that if you point out each satellite, there are 6, and if you try to pin them on a map, you form a hexagon. They're perfectly spaced out like this. To be honest, what he's really trying to say in this tweet is really confusing, but man, just look at the screenshot. If you really think of Polya being a turtle, it almost sounds cool that you're going into its shell through this crater. This screenshot in particular really looks like you're on the back of a giant turtle. Let's see, DLC. Alright, moving on to Hiro Nakazawa. He has a couple cool ideas. One, obviously we have Suicune and Verizon that have paradox forms. They clearly don't look like the fusions. The question is, will Game Freak really make the other ones? He says, what if we get Paradox Entei and Terrakion in one DLC, and then Raikun Copalion in the other? This sounds exactly like Pokemon would do. This is what they did with Slowpoke. As if Slowpoke is this grand Pokemon, they gave us one evolution in Isle of Armor, and then the other one in Crown Tundra. It almost sounds perfect. Tastelessly give us the first set of them right now, hype us up, then put one pair in the first and another pair in the second. I think he's onto something. Obviously, we still don't know what Heath is thinking when he makes that fusion, or just take a step back. What is Game Freak thinking? Why would you put that in the game? Like, does it mean something? Think about Masuda's grinning face. I know he's not even like properly involved in this stuff anymore, but think of him saying, let's put this in the game for no reason. Alright, moving on to Smeku. He has something interesting here. Had a quick theory regarding Blueberry Academy's people. I think they might be responsible for why Heath got discredited and called a liar. Okay, so what do we know about Blueberry Academy? All we know is that for some reason they're considered like a sister academy to Naranja/Uva, but that they're recent. This is not a term used lightly. Blueberry Academy is a school that was established in recent years. Recent sounds like nothing, like 4 years or 12 years ago, but to call it the sister school, it has to be from longer. What if it goes back as far as maybe 87 years ago, which is when the people tried to go into Area 0, constructed that stuff, then gave up, it seems, or 200 years ago, to the time of Heath's period. Let's see what else he says. Of course, that's assuming they've been along that long, but we don't know. Assuming that's the case, they probably smudged all the copies of the books too. Okay, this is an actual problem right now. Arvin mentioned somewhere in the games, at the end, when he's trying to find himself, that every copy of the Scarlet and Violet book that he tried to go and find in the back of stores, they're all smudged on the 3rd legendary page. He even says, seems kind of suspicious, right? What's funny is, Arvin never paid attention to other pages while he had his mom's or dad's book, so they probably had an unsmudged copy. But it raises a question, who smudged it? If Arvin's bringing it up, surely that means Heath didn't do it. Why would he sell a book that's smudged? It sounds like someone did it. What if it was Blueberry Academy? I'm with you, dude. The books can't all have ended up like that by accident. Someone had to have done it. Imagine there was like valuable information. And think about it. If they smudged it, they probably ripped out important pages too that came after. But why would they even keep that page in? You might as well hide the 3rd legendary's existence entirely. Let's keep going. They probably found something in the crater, realized Heath was aware of it too, and they tried to discredit him to make it look like he was a liar to hide what they found. Oh. Wait, this is kind of weird. They're saying Blueberry Academy's head 200 years ago was alive at the same time as Heath. And maybe was a part of the expedition or something. Or he just went in the crater right after Heath. Let's just say for fun that he was on Heath's team. You know, every good team has the bad villain somewhere in the back. Someone has the dude plotting. So maybe, you know, Heath goes down here in a trance, he meets the 3rd legendary and all. And obviously, the crater's filled with treasures. So when Heath comes back to the surface, if there was a greedy dude on his expedition team, he would sabotage Heath, make him look like a liar, so that no one will actually believe what was found. What else do you do with treasure? You bury treasure so that other people can't find it. So maybe that means he then later, the evil guy, went into Area 0 and tried to uncover that stuff. Maybe he's the one who starts Blueberry Academy. Hey, this is good, Smeku. So he tried to discredit him to make it look like he was a liar to hide what they'd found. Then years and years later, they've been able to harness power from the Terra crystals, assuming they brought some back. And that's how they're able to operate an entire academy out of the middle of the ocean. So they're saying even before Sada and Tora went down there, learned to use the crystals as energy and made the Terra orb, that someone had already figured it out. The evil dude that was, you know, plotting against Heath. And so they use those crystals to build and sustain Blueberry Academy so that it can be underwater like that. Are they searching for something underwater? Then enter Sada and Tura, who eventually discover what Heath and Blueberry guys discovered. Hey, I like this. I like there being an evil dude from Heath's time period. So the Blueberry guys catch wind of this and maybe sabotaged Sada and Toro too, which leads to their deaths. No. Okay, I think because Sada and Tura at this point have invented the Terra Orb and it's been a few years, and if these Blueberry guys really are what we're talking about here, they would be pissed at that and try to stop Sada and Tura in their tracks. Especially if they found out they're living in the crater. But if I'm honest, I think Sada and Turo just died because they're crazy scientists. I think that's a good way to end their story. Assuming that there wasn't actually any sabotage involved, Blueberry surely must know something about the crater. Why else would they be in the same DLC as Tropigus is? Yeah, this is true. And both DLCs are called Hidden Treasures of Area Zero. We're gonna learn something. I don't think this Kitakami land has too much to do with the crater. It's in the second Blueberry Academy DLC, the same DLC Tropigus is the face of, that the juice is in. Blueberry Academy, man. To sum it up, Blueberry bad. The Blueberry guys are schemers. They've been pulling strings behind the scenes. Maybe Gita's connected somehow too? Could you imagine if Gita does turn out to be evil, but she's not actually connected to Blueberry Academy? So we actually like get her help to stop Blueberry because they're actually evil. Alright, I gotta close out for today. Y'all let me know what you think about there being someone on Heath's team during that expedition that was plotting his downfall because he wanted everything to himself. Make sure you guys shank that like button, my dudes. I'll see you on the next video. Take care. We'll talk about more theories next time.